after Clement went out, because I mean, as the leader, as a captain, she was able to keep the team together and just control, just when they go. Because Ulinda, as mentioned in the first half, Ivory Coast struggles. They did get to the halfway, Tanzania, but they were unable to score. The question was why. But then when I picked up there was just better organization from them defensively. But as soon as Clement up home, I think that also may have had an impact. But I think for them, it's just to go back home and just prepare again and come back, because next time I think they could actually have a better chance.
And just saying that, Ubamba and Clement are two experienced players in the Tanzanian national team.
Yeah.
They play their trade in Spain. They play in the La Liga. So you can just imagine, when you think at times there are teams, that are built around certain players. You think of Norway without Odegaard and Haaland. Now you think that's why probably they struggled so much. Never had a shot on target.
Yeah.
So that tells you, Guti, they didn't have two of their key players in attack.
They didn't indeed. Those 2 goals scored by Ouedraogo and Conan taking Côte d'Ivoire to the next round. They did a 2014 finish where they secured a 3rd place. Can they get there in the performance that they needed to ensure that they cement their place at the top of the standings?
What stands out for me in the stats, Lonabo, is the passes and the accuracy. It's 388 for Ivory Coast and 332, which shows that this game was actually almost a pound-to-pound situation. But I think what worked better for Ivory Coast was the fact that Maubega, where most of their movements were in, it was from the halfway line into the final third, Tanzania, whereas for Tanzania it was more in their defense, but also towards the midfield and not so much in the final third, Ivory Coast. So I think for me this is almost a true reflection of what we've seen, because it was, very competitive throughout the game. Tanzania did not sit down, hence also just them getting the penalty at the end of the 90 minutes. So I think for me it was them also just trying to say that we're not just here to show face, but we really want to get to it and try to get something out of the game. So for a fair, it was a fair affair.
And Ginelu highlighted that one of the biggest changes came in the 12th minutes, where we see a player that we spoke about building up to this game, number 7, Clement, having to be taken out and replaced by number 23, Esther Gendulwa.
Yeah, you got to feel for the Twiga Stars. Losing your captain. If there's one thing about the captains, what people don't understand in Makaya is you're not given the armband because you are the most stylish player or the most talented player, but it's because of your leadership skills.
Yep.
You are a coach inside the field. You are able to bring back the team when the chips are down. You communicate, how you guys need to play. So you take decisions on behalf of the coach. So losing the player in the early minutes of the first half, it was a huge blow, because you saw Coach Uzami Lukfaga Esther, but Esther didn't do anything, was subbed again. So for me, I think you got to feel for Upakari Shime, and the work that he's done, with the Tanzanian national team. I think he's taken them. Who would have thought that they would beat the defending champions of 2022 in Banyana in the opening game? So they can take that performance in the first game back home and be proud of what they've done in this tournament.
The Twiga Stars can be proud indeed, but unfortunately the undoing started in that 44th minute with Ouedraogo, a player that has had a tournament to remember so far, and she's one of those where you look forward to see what she could do as the tournament proceeds.
I'm really excited to see what she brings. Hey, Mamela, I'm happy to have such a player.
No one of these are my player.
Listen, when we speak coaching, we speak of a complete player. I think she's one of those physically, tactically, technically, psychologically. You can see that she's also switched on. But I think for me, she's one of the players. And the fact that she's a team player, she's not, selfish in that I know she's all over. She's on the left, on the right. She plays long passes. When she gets the chance, she takes shots. So for me, she's one of the very exciting players I think we've seen so far in this tournament.
And in that 44th minute, she scored the first goal of the game to see the Elephants of Ivory Coast leading, taking it to halftime with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, even after trying to give so many assists and creating chances, she felt at this moment, I think is and, got that ball. One-time finish, with the first-time shot, just knowing where she is on the field. And that just speaks to the talent that she has, you know, how great she is. And you can just see even in the celebration, she even says, you know, calm down. Sisaqala, awukakayi indawo umdlalo. It's just one goal. We need to score more goals. Yeah, because she knows what they did, you know, in the match against Banyana.
Yeah, and
2-0 lead that was squandered.
This was very unfortunate, Linda, because also if you look, she had 3 Tanzanian players around them. So I think this was unfortunate for them because they could have picked her man-to-man, regardless of where Ibola likhona, because when you get in such a space, you want man-to-man marking. But the fact you're going to totally Ibola ayedwa, for me, I think this was a foul play from Tanzania, and again exposing the goalkeeper who has done incredibly well until this point. At this point, I felt she didn't have an option because I mean that was also well taken by
My player, Odrago.
But then we see for the first time in the 55th minute, Tanzania getting an opportunity. Momentarily, it felt like Ngathi bayazama to find their feet and at least try something in this encounter, plus Neskobe Savum.
And I think if Clement was in the game, because we spoke about her ability to take set pieces, maybe this could have converted into something. But also just kudos because regardless of what Clement, her going out, they still continued and taken the responsibility. And it's unfortunate because by mistake, it could have, formed something. But we also spoke about both teams being able to score, but being scored as well, which is what we actually witnessed today.
Ultimately, we did with that 2-1 scoreline. But it was a game that had a few interesting incidents, including this moment in the 66th minute where Katunzi brings down Ouedraogo.
How she even maneuvers and gets space behind the defenders. You know, most players, they have certain skills that they use to dribble. But how she dribbles, it's like not to peg defender, which foot do you plant, and then a little up. Because you see how difficult it is for the defender, who led the team after Clement went out, was subbed through injury. She even had to commit a foul because she's already gone, you know.
Yeah.
I think doing analysis, she knew she's left-footed, she'd want to cut in and kill the ball to the far post. But Geo Konan, comes on, takes that penalty, gets a 3rd goal of the tournament, and now she's behind Upanda, together no Temo Chawinga, for that golden boot race.
Ukatunzi lapana as well, Linda. I think Ouedraogo, she did well because we always say, take her to her weakest foot. Hence, right, which was unfortunate in that moment because Segamshil already Ouedraogo, and then the fact it was already delayed. So I think she's a very intelligent player in reading the game, the body position of the defender, knowing Magunji, I can't go this way because it's going to be easier for you to tall. Then it forced her to change.
And Linda, you highlighted the masterclass and masterpiece that we're seeing with Ouedraogo and the way she maneuvers around the penalty box. She does the same in that 69th minute going to 70.
Look, man, we can safely say that she has a way of speaking with the ball. Look at how defenders are just falling.
She's dancing around them.
There's 2, 4,
in the
6,
6-yard box.
7 people.
So when you think that, look, if I was in a position at that moment, I take a shot. But she's like, no, not now. I'll take on another one, and then I'll lay off the ball to my oncoming, player. Unfortunate that control it went off target, but that also would have been a wonderful goal and a beautiful assist from her.
A beautiful goal and a wonderful assist it would have been, but Tanzania once more in the dying minutes of the game pull one more string and see what they can get from their final game, what has become of them in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, a consolation following a penalty decision.
Yeah, I think also Tanzania showed a non-dying spirit. Like I mentioned, they are a team. They keep pushing, they were pressing high. They did not sit back like we thought they would. Even Nama substitute to our coach, Mina, at some point I felt he's trying to park the bus. But it looks like within the field, he already had players that can play dual roles. In the middle, because we saw number 23 that replaced Clement being substituted. So the question was, but then coach knows his players as well. So for me, I think it was also just brilliant of them just having that energy, that mindset to say we're not giving up. And it became very scary as well because also with the extra time that was given up on the board and being added futhi from referee. It was scary because now looking at what Banyana is doing on the other side, it poses a threat for them, because should it happen that within the 2 extra minutes added by referee that Tanzania is able to score another goal, which was possible because I think they were just coming even more harder at this point, Linda.
Yeah, but we got to give it to coach. You know, we can say keep out Clement or Fago Esther, but still went on to substitute Esther. When Esther went off, they brought in Upahati, who earns them a penalty, you know. And then Diana, one of, you know, the impact players, because she plays in that midfield a role, the center of that Tanzanian team, came on, experienced as she was, came on, took that penalty very well. And you think at this moment, could Tanzania do a Banyana against Côte d'Ivoire? You know, come back to equalize 2-2.
Nerve-wracking, yeah.
Yeah, and at that time, on the other side, Banyana celebrating.
Yeah.
So that could have been a bad moment.
Yeah, it reminds me of that dance at Mobela Stadium. We were celebrating a qualification. Kanti, we were not really there yet, but nonetheless, for now, we can celebrate Banyana and Côte d'Ivoire qualifying from Group B of the WAFCON and going to the quarterfinals in the next stage that's coming up this weekend. And as we've said and promised, SABC, the official broadcaster of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, will conclude on this game that we've seen tonight and then reflect on what's to come tomorrow as the WAFCON continues.